Stop. Stop everything you are doing and listen. This is not just another video. This is not just another message. This is God calling you. If you are hearing this right now, it is not by chance. It is not an accident. God has led you here because He is trying to reach you. You have felt it, haven't you? That restless pull in your spirit. That unexplainable feeling that something is missing, that something greater is waiting for you. It has been there in the quiet moments, in the sleepless nights, in the moments when the world around you felt like noise, but your soul was longing for something more. That something is God's voice. He has been speaking to you. He has been calling your name, waiting for you to stop, to listen, to respond. But the question is, will you answer? This is not just another moment in your day. This is a divine interruption. Right now, heaven is reaching out to you. Do not ignore this. Do not scroll past this. God is speaking, and He is waiting for you to listen. Are you ready? Chosen one, when God calls, it is never without purpose. It is never without urgency. And right now, He is speaking to you. Maybe you've been feeling lost, uncertain about your direction. Maybe you've been searching for answers, trying to find meaning in the chaos of life. Or maybe you have been running from the voice that keeps whispering to your soul, reminding you that you were made for more. But you cannot run from God. His voice follows you in ways you may not even recognize. It's in the closed doors, the delayed plans, the restless nights. It's in the moments when you feel like giving up, but something inside of you tells you to keep going. It's in the way your heart aches when you know you are not living in alignment with His purpose. God is not calling you to burden you. He is not calling you to take something from you. He is calling you because there is something He needs to give you. A new beginning. A second chance. A purpose greater than anything you have ever known. But here's the truth. Not everyone answers the call. Many ignore it. Many delay it, thinking they have more time. But time is not promised. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes to hear His voice. The distractions get louder, the doubts grow stronger, and before you know it, the call feels distant, almost forgotten. But right now, at this very moment, God has not forgotten you. The fact that you are here, hearing this message, means He is still reaching for you. It means the invitation is still open. It means He is giving you another chance to answer. But the question remains, will you? Chosen one, the reason many people miss God's call is not because He isn't speaking. It's because they don't know how to recognize His voice. God speaks in ways that are deeper than human words. He speaks through the restlessness in your spirit, through the moments when everything around you seems fine, but something inside of you knows there's more. He speaks through divine interruptions, those unexpected moments when life doesn't go the way you planned, and you are forced to stop and ask, God, what are you trying to show me? He speaks through people, through a message like this one, through a stranger's kindness, through the words of someone who doesn't even realize they are delivering a message meant just for you. He speaks through situations, through the doors that close, through the opportunities that seem delayed, through the moments when everything around you is shifting, and you don't understand why. He speaks in the silence, the quiet moments when the world has stopped, and it's just you and your thoughts. Have you noticed that when you are alone, when the distractions fade away, you start to feel something deep inside you? A calling, a pull, a whisper that is telling you it's time to come closer to God. But here's what happens. The enemy doesn't want you to hear God's voice. So he fills your life with noise, constant distractions, endless busyness, worry, fear, doubt. He makes sure that your mind is always occupied so that you never take the time to stop and listen. Think about it. How many times have you ignored that feeling in your heart? That moment when you knew you needed to pray but convinced yourself you were too tired? That moment when you felt convicted but quickly distracted yourself with something else? That was God calling you, and the enemy was trying to drown him out. But not today. Today, the noise is silenced. The distractions are fading. Right now, in this moment, you are hearing his voice. And now that you recognize it, the question is, will you listen? Chosen one, what happens when you ignore God's call? What happens when you hear his voice but decide to walk away? Let me tell you the truth. It always costs something. Throughout history, the greatest losses did not come from what people lacked, but from what they ignored. Think of Jonah. God called him, gave him clear direction, but Jonah ran. And because he ran, he found himself in the depths of the sea, swallowed by a great fish, isolated in the darkness. Not because God abandoned him, but because his disobedience led him there. Think of the rich young ruler who stood before Jesus, face to face with the very Son of God. Jesus called him to follow, but the man walked away, not because he didn't believe, but because he wasn't willing to let go of what was holding him back. What is holding you back? Is it fear? Fear that following God will require you to change? Fear that surrendering will mean stepping into the unknown? Is it comfort? The idea that your life is good enough, and you can always get serious about God later? Or is it doubt? The whisper in your mind that says, maybe this message isn't really for me. But let me ask you something. What if this is your last call? What if today is the day that changes everything, and you let it pass by? What if the opportunity God is giving you right now is the very thing that would break every chain in your life, but you choose to walk away? This is what the enemy wants. He wants you to delay. He wants you to doubt. He wants you to believe that you have more time. But time is not guaranteed. Many people believe they will get serious about God later. They say, one day I'll answer. One day I'll change. One day I'll surrender. But one day turns into never. And the tragedy is not just missing out on what God has for you. It's that, over time, your heart hardens. The voice that once convicted you starts to fade. The pull that once felt strong begins to weaken. Not because God stopped calling, but because you stopped listening. But right now, you still have a chance. God is calling you again because He has not given up on you. The fact that you are hearing this is proof that His mercy is still reaching for you. But will you answer this time? Chosen one, when you answer God's call, everything changes. It doesn't mean that life becomes instantly perfect. It doesn't mean that you'll never face struggles again. But what it does mean is that you will never walk alone. It means that from this moment forward, every battle, every challenge, every decision you make will be guided by a strength greater than your own. Think about it. How many times have you tried to fight your battles alone? How many times have you carried burdens that felt too heavy, trying to figure out everything by yourself? How many nights have you spent worrying, wondering, and hoping that something would change? But when you say yes to God, you are no longer walking in your own strength. You are stepping into divine direction, divine protection, divine provision. Look at what happened to those who said yes. Moses was just a man with a stutter, but when he said yes to God, he became a leader who parted the Red Sea. David was just a shepherd boy, but when he said yes, he became a king. Peter was just a fisherman, but when he said yes, he walked on water. What could happen if you said yes? God is not calling you for nothing. He is not asking you to come closer just to watch you struggle. He is calling you because there is something greater on the other side of your obedience. When you say yes to God, doors begin to open that you never imagined possible. The things you have been praying for, the clarity, the peace, the breakthrough, begin to manifest because you are finally walking in alignment with God's plan. That restless feeling inside of you, it starts to fade. That emptiness you've been trying to fill, it gets replaced with a purpose that no amount of money, success, or relationships could ever satisfy. That battle you've been fighting, it no longer feels impossible, because you realize God is fighting for you. This is what happens when you say yes. This is what the enemy has been trying to keep you from. And now, you are standing at the crossroads. You can keep walking the way you've been walking, carrying the same weight, feeling the same uncertainty, or you can step into the unknown with God and experience the life you were always meant to live. The choice is yours. Chosen one, God has been calling you, but maybe you've struggled to recognize the signs. Maybe you've dismissed them as coincidence, ignored them because life was too busy, or silenced them because answering felt too uncomfortable. But God never stops calling, and right now, He is giving you another chance to see what has been in front of you all along. How do you know when God is calling you? One of the first signs is restlessness. Have you felt like something in your life is missing? That even when things seem fine on the outside, something inside of you feels unsettled? That no matter what you chase, success, relationships, money, distractions, nothing fully satisfies? That is God whispering to your soul, reminding you that you were made for something more. Another sign is closed doors. Maybe you've been trying to move forward, but nothing seems to work. Maybe the relationship you wanted didn't last. Maybe the job you thought was your future slipped away. Maybe the plans you had have fallen apart, leaving you wondering, why is everything going wrong? But what if nothing is going wrong? What if God is closing doors because He is trying to redirect you toward the right one? Then there are the divine interruptions. The moments when life suddenly slows down. The unexpected encounters. The message, like this one, that reaches you at just the right time. That moment when a word, a sermon, or even a conversation strikes you deeper than usual. That is not random. That is God grabbing your attention, saying, "Listen, I am speaking to you." And finally, there is conviction. Have you ever felt a strong pull in your spirit? A deep knowing that something in your life needs to change? Maybe it's a habit. Maybe it's a mindset. Maybe it's the way you have been living, lukewarm in your faith, distant from God, walking in the opposite direction from where He is leading you. That feeling of conviction is not condemnation. It's an invitation. An invitation to step out of the old and into the new. God is not just calling you for no reason. He is calling you because He has something greater for you. He has been waiting for you to stop running, waiting for you to recognize that the very thing you've been searching for, peace, fulfillment, purpose, is only found in Him. And now you have a choice. You can keep ignoring the signs. You can keep dismissing the voice that has been nudging your heart. You can keep waiting for another time. Or you can stop and listen, because this is your moment. Chosen one, God is calling you right now. This is not just another video. This is not just another message. This is your moment. How many times has God tried to reach you? How many signs has He given you? How many times have you felt that pull in your spirit, knowing that He is calling you to something greater? And yet, how many times have you ignored it, delayed it, or pushed it aside? You cannot keep waiting. The enemy wants you to believe that you have more time, that you can answer later, that you can keep living the way you have been and deal with God when you're ready. But what if later never comes? What if today, right now, is the moment God has set aside for you to say yes? What if this is the last call before the next season of your life begins? What if this is the decision that changes everything? Think about what is at stake. Think about the weight you've been carrying, the battles you've been fighting alone, the restlessness that never seems to leave you. God is offering you freedom from all of it. He is not calling you to burden you. He is calling you to set you free. But freedom requires a decision. God has already made his decision. He wants you. He has chosen you. He is calling you. Now the decision is yours. So right now, in this moment, surrender. Say yes to God. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. Don't let another opportunity pass you by. Speak it out loud. God, I hear you. I am listening. I say yes to you. Let heaven hear you. Let the enemy know he no longer has power over your life. This is your moment. This is your breakthrough. Do not ignore it. God is calling. Will you answer? Chosen one, something inside of you has shifted. You can feel it, can't you? That heaviness, that hesitation. It's fading, because now you see the truth. God has been calling you all along, and now you have answered. From this moment forward, your life will never be the same. The questions you once had about your purpose, your direction, your worth, are being answered in the presence of God. The weight you've carried, the burden of trying to figure everything out on your own, is being lifted, because now you are no longer walking alone. You are stepping into a new season, a season where you no longer chase after empty things, because you know that God alone can satisfy you. A season where you no longer live in doubt, because you trust that God is leading your steps. A season where you no longer feel lost, because you finally know who you are. You are chosen. You are called. And now, you are walking in divine purpose. God has great things prepared for you. Doors will open that no man can shut. Miracles will unfold in ways you never expected. The prayers you thought would never be answered will begin to manifest, because now you are aligned with God's will. This is just the beginning. Your life is about to change, because when you say yes to God, everything shifts. So walk boldly. Move forward with faith. Let the world see what happens when someone truly surrenders to God. Because this is your time. You are no longer just hearing the call. You are answering it.